Thanks, everyone. Good afternoon. You came back from the sun. I'm Dan Riley. I lead the talent practice in Europe. Very happy to be here. This is my second time at this conference, probably my 10th time in Budapest. So tomorrow I'm not working. I'm going to actually enjoy the beautiful city here. I have never done that. I always end up meeting to meeting, so I'm going to actually enjoy things. So any recommendations, please let me know. And one final thing, I feel like I have a little bit of power because I've been traveling, and wherever I go over the past 2 weeks, it's beautiful and it's sunny, and that never happens with me. Usually I show up and it's rainy. So I was in Munich, it was sunny. I was in London, it was sunny. I come here, so let me know what city you want me to go to next if you're going to be there, and I promise it'll be sunny. So today we're going to talk about the idea of HR and technology and the importance of people, and how can we continue to connect and inspire each other in a world that's just dominated with technology, right? I love technology. I grew up with technology. I grew up coding. So the idea of AI excites me, but I get nervous that sometimes we can take things too far too fast, and we have to have that balance. We always have to remember what matters, and that's people and that's connections. So inspiration without borders, and borders can be anything from state line, regional line, country line, to technology and human experience. So I have a request. It's a provocative slide. What if the one who changes the world is looking at you now? So could everyone just turn and look at somebody? Not me. Somebody else. Just for a moment. Good. So what do I mean by this? As leaders in HR, managers, every voice is important, right? One thing I always mention to my team is it's ideas over hierarchy, right? Every idea needs to be heard, considered, discussed. And so when I say change the world, you can build a rocket ship, but you can also make one small adjustment to a process in a company, and that makes a big difference. And that can change things for that organization, and that can ultimately change the world in a small way. And that's actually how we change the world, a lot of small things, right? Changing the world isn't one or two big things. It's a commitment to everyone achieving just a little bit more and being heard. So we have a responsibility in HR to make sure that happens within our organizations. And you've heard a lot about employee experience and continuous listening, continuous dialogue, and always on. So I'm not going to dive into those topics. They're near and dear to my heart and extraordinarily important. So all great change starts with the individual, a collection of ideas and actions inspiring each other to move things forward. I'm going to bring up a few examples later today, or I'll be speaking for 2.5 hours later in the next 14 minutes that help prove this case. But the individual is ultimately what makes things happen. So we at Aon have a statement that we drive performance through people. And one thing, when we talk about diversity and inclusion and different people from levels to race to sex to whatever the differences may be, these are actually the things that bring us together, right? What's stopping us if actually the one thing we all have in common in this room actually happens to be our differences, right? That is the one thing we all have in common, is that we are all unique and that we are all different and that we all have ideas and opinions. So as organizations, we have to embrace that. That is how the best organizations operate, hands down. There's data to prove that, but you don't need data to prove that. It's instinctually, it's something I suspect most of you know. But it's something we have to work on every day as leaders, and HRs have to adopt new policies, new approaches, new ideas to make these things come to fruition. So I'm going to play a short video next, and then we're going to do a quick exercise after that. I think it's missing sound.
And there's them, the high earners, and those just getting by. those we trust, and those we try to avoid. There's the new Danes, and those who've always been here. The people from the countryside, and those who've never seen a cow. The religious, and the self-confident. There are those we share something with, and those we don't share anything with.
Velkommen. Jeg kommer til at stille jer nogle spørgsmål i dag. Nogle af dem kan godt være lidt personlige, men jeg håber, I vil svare ærligt på dem. Hvem herinde i rummet var klassens klovn? Hvem er bonusforældre?
And then suddenly, there's us. We who believe in life after death. We who've seen UFOs. And all of us who love to dance. We who've been bullied. And we who've bullied others. And then there's us, the lucky ones who've had sex this past week. We who are broken-hearted. We who are madly in love. We who feel lonely. We who are bisexual. And we who acknowledge the courage of others. We who have found the meaning of life. And we who have saved lives. And then there's all of us who just love Denmark. So maybe there's more that brings us together than we think. TV2 Denmark. All that we share.
Great. So that's one of my, some of you may have seen that video before. It's a promotional video that TV and a station in Denmark did, but really captures the essence of people, right? And the importance of understanding, in fact, the differences are what bring us together. And sometimes those differences are things we share with each other that we had no idea we shared with each other. And that builds great teams, right? Getting to know each other on different levels, understanding what makes you tick. Beautiful ideas are born by that type of dialogue and understanding and inclusion. So you probably saw this one coming. We're going to do a few questions in the room here. The first one's very simple. It picks up on what you saw. So what I'd like you to do is just raise your hand. We don't have to stand. Who in this room was the class clown or is the class clown growing up? Let's see. So we have one. Okay, so not too many comedians in the room. So later, like when drinks are at the end of the day, just go hang out with whoever is raising their hand if you want to laugh. So make sure you start working on your good jokes. Who in this room has a tattoo? Don't be shy. We can just. I'll raise my hand too. I would have thought more. I'm not sure why, but that's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So tattoos. You can talk about your tattoos later. So pay attention. Who in this room has recently fallen madly in love? So, and you're not on your phone on WhatsApp right now, messaging. You're actually paying attention to this speech, and you're just falling. Okay, impressive. Anybody else back there? Wow, good. Someone called me on this question before. They said, "Can you refall madly in love?" And I said, "Absolutely." So maybe you've been married for 10 years and you've just recently refallen in love. So who in this room has you already? Okay, nice. Good. That's great. We have love in the room. Who in this room is always running late? Okay, that's pretty good. I've been to Hungary now like 8-10 times, and it seems like things are kind of run late a little bit. And who in this room has beat a life-threatening illness? Anybody? Congratulations. Round of applause. You've been brave for raising your hand too. All right, so we just learned a little something more about each other. This is an exercise you can, of course, do with your teams. And this just brings up good conversation. I have 7 minutes. I probably have more slides than I can do, so I'm going to move a little fast and focus on the things I think are important. But today's workplace, now to just get a little bit tactical, is changing, right? It's becoming agile, digital, fast, flexible, forward-thinking, purposeful, collaborative, connected, co-created, and resilient, right? These are the attributes of organizations. They have to take on these attributes. I'm going to say it again, it is ideas over hierarchy, and all of this sort of screams of that, right? We have to be able to work in an organization that is flexible. We have to be agile, and agile has become a buzzword, but it's a buzzword because it actually works, right? Agile is something that was created by developers. The Agile Manifesto, I could recite that. It was owned at first by developers. Now we've all taken it on because it makes sense, right? Why would we work in a vacuum and not be willing to adjust and change as we need to, as business priorities change, as the world around us is changing, and it's changing so fast. So what does extraordinary look like? Look around this room. There's a lot of extraordinary in this room. But I want to do another quick exercise. So how many of you had the experience of working with an extraordinary leader? Just someone who inspired you to work different, someone who inspired you, gave you good advice, really changed your career? Raise your hand. How many of you have your hands raised have actually told that person that they made a big difference? Okay, good. But not all of you. So one thing if you take one thing away from this, today, tomorrow, if this person is still living, hopefully, reach out to them and let them know what they did for your career. Give them that feedback. I had an opportunity to do this with a leader that I worked with many moons ago, who helped me in my career. I was very, very shy in my 20s, and she helped me she was a CHRO of a big organization and really saw potential and helped guide me. And I actually had a chance to talk to her and thank her for that. So make a phone call, let them know, or maybe it's your current manager, so let him or her know. Because what if you were getting that call, right? How would that make you feel? So it's a powerful thing. And again, it's just a commitment to thanking each other, and that helps build a collaborative and beautiful culture. One thing at the end of the day, and I think about an assessment check that we can all do when we think about being extraordinary, being the best we can possibly be, are two things that I do at the end of the day. Did I make an impact? Something very specific. What did I do today that actually made an impact for my team, for my organization? Maybe it's personal too. And it has to be very specific. And think about what that is, and that's for yourself. And number two, how will I be remembered today from the people I was working with throughout the day? Just going through those two exercises every night is an incredible way to sort of just self-reflect, consider the things you want to change tomorrow. And you don't have to do a big survey or assessment or personality test to do this. You can be sipping a beer at the end of the day or before you fall asleep. Just think about these two things. So, power of diversity, collaboration, and team. A real fast story. I'm going to pay attention to time here. I founded a tech company in '99. Grew one client at a time, one person at a time. One of those just .com ideas, and it worked. Why did it work? Because of team, because of people around me. I would not be here today. I would not be in Budapest. I would not be speaking in front of all of you if I didn't have incredible people behind me, people that were just as passionate as I was about our mission. And we went through tough times. We went through times where we had to do pay cuts in 2008, 2009, and our employees raised their hand to take pay cuts. We're all in HR. Who comes to you and says, I would like a pay cut, right? And the reason they did that, because as they knew if we stayed together, and made it through a tough time, we would be stronger on the backside. And that is incredible. And of course, that is not something that typically happens in a large organization. But when we think about small team, that's what teams do to stick together. And if you have a bunch of small teams acting like that in a big organization, you can move mountains, you can achieve the extraordinary. And this last picture is a picture of the incredible team here in Hungary, which are all sitting in the front here, who are a beautiful team to work with, brilliant. When I think about this team here, this is the innovation center. This is where some of our best and most creative ideas come from. So I love these guys and so proud to be working with them. Things that are changing that we have to pay attention to. We know there's a lot of wild, wild west politics going on everywhere, here in the US, UK. So these things are important. Organizations need to feel safe and just have to be aware of this. So these are headwinds that we have to face. In HR, it's important where we build processes to handle this. Competitive disruption, changing talent expectations, right? Rapidly changing tech. This is a stat specific to the US and Europe, but I think this stat is becoming global as well, which folks are moving to an on-demand economy. This means they are either contingent or just temporary workers. So how do we engage them and inspire individuals who are not actually an employee, but just a consultant or part-time? This is something we have to pay attention to. 20 billion devices will be connected in a couple years. So if you don't have a tech strategy, get one. 88% of those, there's an incremental increase in engagement for those who can work when and where or wherever they want. I think this is something we all have to be aware of. Most organizations are doing a pretty good job here, but pay attention to this. And finally, 50% of the global workforce will be comprised of millennials by 2020. I think there are a lot in this room. So congratulations, you're taking over the world. And finally, our call to action. Act on what's important, right? Always focus on what's important. Inspire each other. The power of people. I can't stress enough. And create winning ideas. Again, ideas over hierarchy, ideas over hierarchy, ideas over hierarchy. Repeat that. Finally, I'm going to end with a video. Sorry, I'm going to go 1 minute over. I pre-warned you. This is a video you saw earlier this morning. This is a Work Different video. We're really proud of this video at Aon. This is the first of a few in a series that we've created that really celebrates the importance of people, the importance of connection, the importance of the purpose of why we actually exist as a company, right? And so we will play this, and then thank you so much. I won't have time to say to say goodbye. So enjoy the video. Thank you. Makes everyone work different.